Alrighty, we're going to talk about anger. Again, I've talked about this before, but you need to realize that anger is an essential part of being human. We have this anger drive, and it's there for a reason. Everything we feel as humans has a reason and is good for something. Now, cheap, silly, childish philosophies like to make things very simplistic. So, a bad philosophy would be that anger is bad. So this is kind of the vibe in Mormonism. It's like we want to be docile, we want to be sweet, contention is of the devil, and anger is bad. And if you're feeling angry, that's the devil coming in. It's like, no, that's not true. Anger is an active emotion. It generally comes when we feel an obstacle. So sometimes it bubbles up as frustration. It can come when we feel like there's an injustice, and it can come when we need to fight if we feel like we're being threatened. And it's actually a very motivating emotion. And it's connected to creativity, it's connected to passion, and it's good to be angry at the right things, meaning things that justify and warrant anger. And why in Mormonism, there tends to be this philosophy that, contention is of the devil, that anger is bad and we don't want to feel anger. And you just have to think, if you were in control and you're trying to control a bunch of people, what philosophy would you want them to adopt for life? And you would want them to have a very soft, sweet philosophy because, sheep don't attack. Sheep don't have much anger, and so they're not a threat. And so when you're the Mormon church, you don't want a bunch of people who get angry and take action against you. So you need to teach them, hey, anger is the devil. And it's not even anger, even contention. So if people are arguing, that's of the devil too. Now you think, why is that useful to Mormonism, to teach the members that arguing is of the devil? Well, look, when people can't argue, they can't think. So generally important things, if I think something's important, let's say I think Mormonism's a fraud and somebody else thinks that it's, that it's really true, there's going to be feelings when we talk about this and when we argue about this. And if somebody says, no, contention is of the devil, they're going to disengage from the argument and they're going to leave, and we're never going to come to the conclusion. We're never going to get through all the facts, through all the arguments, and come to the conclusion of, Mormonism is a fraud. And so it can be used as a defense mechanism. It's a way to disguise what is actually cowardice and vice as humility and piety. Now, I'm not saying we just need to fight with everybody and fighting for the sake of fighting is good, but really wisdom is knowing how to focus our passions, how to focus our anger, how to focus all these aspects of human nature. So, here's the thing with anger. We can be angry at things that don't actually exist, at things that didn't happen, and that's not wise. So for an example, let's say you have a date at 7 o'clock and it's now 7:10 and the person hasn't showed up. Now you might start feeling some irritation. 7:15, you're thinking, well, why didn't they call me? They always do this. 7:30, now I've had it with this person. This is just enough. And you feel that anger. Now you might be justified, but right now, let's just say you're feeling intense anger and hostility towards this person. It's now 7:45, they didn't text you. And then you find that they didn't text you because they were just in a serious car crash and are being life flighted to the hospital. Well, now you just feel like a jerk, and your anger was, you got angry at something that didn't happen. You were angry at this person because you believed they stood you up and they didn't. And so we can see, okay, your anger isn't justified there. Now, maybe it is. They didn't show up because they forgot about you and they're cheating on somebody. And, then your anger is justified. The point being is, we generally react with what we believe about reality rather than what is actually factually happening. And so, in Mormonism, if they teach you to believe that contention is of the devil, then you're going to interact with that as if an argument. So, some type of argument that gets a little heated, you're going to pull away from that and feel anxiety because you believe that there is a invisible being who is sparking this contentious debate. So you're justified if you find out somebody has been lying to you, you are justified in getting angry. And that anger can be an emotion to get you to take the appropriate steps. If somebody's cheating you, then you should get angry and you need to fight. There is a time to fight. And we need to understand that it's all right to fight against Mormonism. If you believe it is a fraud, it is okay to stand up and publicly say, hey, this is why I think it's a fraud. Now, there's a meme that was going around I thought was pretty fascinating and intelligent. It basically said, when Mormons say ex-Mormons can leave Mormonism, but they can't leave it alone, they're trying to use reverse psychology to make you do what they want. So when they say you can leave it, but you can't leave it alone, what they want is they want you to leave it alone. So they need to frame it as a character flaw that you won't leave it alone. Does that make sense? So they want you to leave it alone, but they're going to tell you, well, you not leaving it alone, you just can't leave it alone. You have a problem. When in reality, there's a lot of hypocrisy going there. Mormons won't leave the world alone. They are very annoying. They send out scores and scores of missionaries. They teach young men that it is their obligation to donate 2 years of their life, to give up their careers to building Mormonism for free. So it's Mormons who can't leave people alone. Guys, do you really need a missionary army to go out? So what they're asking for, Mormons, and they love this, they like the double standard. Well, you guys can't say what you believe, but we're going to say what we believe because we're special. And they always frame it. It's like, well, we're preaching the gospel, the true restored gospel of Jesus Christ. You're just hurting people's faith. It's like, well, no, when you go to Mexico and you tell people that the saints they believe in aren't true, you're hurting their faith. And faith is just we're just disguising things with flowery language. Like, there's things that you believe about how the world works. There's things that I believe about how the world works. You believe that in reality, if you're not Mormon and baptized into Mormonism, there's going to be problems in the afterlife. I don't believe that. Or, a Catholic believes something else. So all we're talking about is there's stuff you believe about the world. Like if I said, hey, I think the world is round, and you believe the world was flat, we could get in an argument, and it's not, that's just a normal thing to do. We argue about it, and somebody's going to be wrong. But what religion does is we're arguing over things that nobody really knows about, so there's no way at the end of the day to be like, well, you're wrong, when they're talking about afterlife and stuff. Now, the problem with Mormonism, they're also arguing about things that we can use evidence and reason and good judgment to say, hey, this is likely not true. For example, when you find out the leader of the church is, marrying and collecting wives, it could be in some grand plan that's Jesus, and it was really important for him to Joseph Smith to have lots of young brides. But it could just be, given human nature and looking at, this tends to happen in all cults, that he just got a lot of power, and often men, once they get a lot of power, they start thinking, hey, I want other people's wives too. And then in that worldview, when there's still not a clear link about how to discover truth, and there's kind of this connection, well, I feel it strongly, so that's a spirit, they can justify it. Yeah, that's a spirit telling me that I need your daughters, I need your wives. It's really not that hard to explain with a modern worldview. So here's the thing. Anger, this is what I found with me. When it's repressed, it can start to lead to a deadness in life. I've had some good breakthroughs just really connecting to anger and being like, oh, wow, this is a very powerful, moving emotion. And when it's not there, for me, I start to feel dead. My creativity gets sapped. My ambition gets sapped. And, this part of anger is connected to our brain, to all these other neural pathways and centers. And it's a good thing to be able to control. We don't want to be deranged maniacs, angry at everything and just going on a rampage, but we want to use our anger intelligently to get us motivated, to get us creative, to get us into action, and to forge a life that we want to live. So this is just me driving around, saying things that I've been thinking. I hope they're useful to you. Yeah, I've just enjoyed sharing this with you. And let me know if you have any comments, anything I missed, anything you want me to talk about, and I will hit it next time. Peace.